Time for some Jason Brown. JB, when I read the Washington Post story on Kim Mulkey, I immediately thought of you. And I was like, man, I hope JB reads this because it's like that entire story, the stuff, and there was much of it was trying to be framed in a negative way. But the whole story seemed to be, man, if you try to coach these kids and try to direct them in any way, try to correct them in any way, oh, this is horrible. And, you know, a coach must be fired. You must affirm these players at every turn. If they want to tat themselves up, if they want to color their hair any color they want, if they want to be 18, 19 years old and be in relationships with their teammates, you got to be for it. And I'm just like, JB, they're outlawing coaching. Your
Jason,
thoughts?
That's why I'm not coaching. Among other things. But that's probably one of the reasons I just can't do it. I've had a few people come at me and ask me if I'd entertain a job. I said, absolutely no way. There's no way. I'd be fired today. I'd take the job right now, Jason. I'll be fired tonight. Like, it is what it is. Like, why are you putting coaches in harm's way? I don't get it. Like, this is what you want. This is the agenda you want to push. Why are you trying to hire the best, quote unquote, the best leader of so-called men or women? They're not the best leaders because you want a puppet. You want a puppet in a puppet show that you can control, that lets the boys paint their nails, lets the girls talk back. This is what you want. There's no hierarchy, Jason. I just think that this is absolute just disgraceful. Like, you cannot coach. I literally posted right after that came out, I posted and retweeted it with the video they were sharing of me yelling at kids. They said, this is Kim Mulkey. And it was me yelling at kids. And I retweeted it and I said, so basically this is a hit piece on coaching hard. Because it wasn't anything else. It was coaching hard. And I'm like, what? Jason, let me ask you a question. When did correction become criticism? That is the question I have.
I want to know, when did criticism become a bad thing? I mean, there used to be jobs called critics. Everybody expected, Cisco and Ebert, they're critics. And critic was a respectable profession that people understood that criticism elevates and moves you closer towards perfection. Now it's hating. That criticism is called hating, and so I guess they'd have haters instead of critics now. That's the profession.
Or trolls.
That's what we've done. Yeah, or that's what we've done. We've demonized criticism, and there would be no Michael Jordan without criticism, or at least in his mind that people criticize him. That's what made him great. That's what made Tom Brady great, is critics. And we want to deny that of kids, and in particular, black kids. Let's deny them criticism because they just need their butts kissed. That's what will make them great.
You can't coach them hard. You can't criticize them. You have to allow. We used to say coach it or allow it. We are allowing it at an all-time high, and there's a reason for it, because coaches are walking on pins and needles, on eggshells, because they know they'll be fired if they say anything that's not with your agenda. And I think it's a narrative we're pushing. It's an absolute joke. Frank Martin comes on my show quite often. Very fiery, big-time coach, South Carolina, K-State, now at UMass. And he comes on the show and says the same stuff. It's like, listen, now, Jason, it's a pile-on thing. This is how cancel culture works. I'm a victim of it. So I was falsely accused of 8 charges, okay? I wasn't even in the state in my office when this happened. I'm already home in California. This whole thing happens. Well, guess what happens? Everybody gets part of it, a wind of it, and they want me to be what? I'm the devil now. So then they're going to say, oh, he used to yell at kids. Then he fired coaches. All which is part of the business, but now they pile on to one thing that was false, and then they add to it. So you saw it yesterday with Kim Mulkey, Jason. the LA Times, after Kim Mulkey beats my UCLA Bruins, the LA beat writer goes after her, saying her team is basically, in essence, a bunch of thugs. They're basically a bunch of, this and that. She came after them as well. Yeah, she came after them as well and said a pile-on effect. This is what happens in today's society, man. It's unbelievable. I mean, you saw Biden's calendar. I mean, we got unbelievable days that celebrate certain things. It's crazy. Like, we celebrate LGBT or whatever that's called more than blacks in this country. It's unbelievable. I just talked to Smitty about that today on the show. Like, why aren't the brothers coming forward and saying, hey, dog, we're tired of this. We get 1 month, which is still a slap in the face, in my opinion. But now.
No, it's not. JJ, none of skin color's not nothing to be celebrated. And what holes you allow people to enter, that shouldn't be celebrated either. They're nothing.
Exactly.
They're inconsequential things that shouldn't be celebrated at all. All of it is idolatry and ridiculous and moves people away from doing the right thing. JB, the other thing, I was looking at this Kim Mulkey thing. Nick Saban probably read that article and was like, yeah, glad I got out. Bill Belichick will read that article and be like, I guess it wasn't such a bad thing that I didn't get a new job, because everything that these guys stood for is being outlawed to the point that it's being criminalized for women coaches to the same thing. They're now down to, hey, we got to eliminate any of these women that actually coach these kids and try to lead them in a positive direction too. And that's why, JB, I blame the media. The media is the one pushing this more than anybody else. I don't think kids actually want it and respect. That's why they could only get one girl really to attack Kim Mulkey. And her girlfriend on the team came out and defended Kim Mulkey. So I think the overwhelming majority of the kids want to be coached hard. The media runs in and says, no. That's racist, or that's homophobic, or that's sexist if you allow yourself to be coached hard. I think the kids actually still desire it.
They do. Kids want to get coached hard. I talk to coaches every day. They're like, JB, they still want to get coached hard. The kids haven't changed. And I'm hearing this from current coaches that are coaching every day. Kids that I speak to that are still very respectful, kids that want to do it. But they tell me straight up, hey, coach, my coach don't challenge me. So I just be like calling him by his first name. And I'm like, really? And this is like kids telling me this in person that I speak to on a daily basis. They're like, yeah, coach, they don't challenge us. That'd be crazy to come at you like that. We know you're going to challenge us. And I'm like, really? Again, allow it or coach it. That's the society we live in. And a funnier one than Saban and these other names you brought up. What about Coach K? Maybe he's the smartest one of all of them that got out when he did for a reason. And this is coming from some people that actually have talked to him, have said he was ahead of this curve on this thing. He got out ahead of all of them. And it's funny that he's come out now and saw what Saban said, and he's come out and kind of disagreed in the manner that Saban said it. But at the end of the day, it's all the same thing. You're leaving. Chip Kelly's leaving a head coaching job to go be an assistant in college for a reason. Like, there's just no.
I'll give you the better one. It's Jay Wright. That's who saw what was coming and bounced. And now he's doing a great job as a broadcaster. He's really, again, they don't really need Charles and Kenny. Jay Wright and Clark Kellogg could handle that thing now. Yeah. But Jay Wright is the guy that I think saw what was coming and said, I got a lot of money. I can go into broadcasting. I can still make money. If I can't pass on any values, if it's just X's and O's, what am I doing here? It's just not as fulfilling, because the money is great, but most coaches want to be able to say, man, I recruited Jason Whitlock, and he was a knucklehead for 4 straight years. But look at him now. Some of that stuff we gave him actually stuck. That's the actual reward.
Jason, I molded him. I got him through the process. Like, the kids that talk crap about me are kids that were absolute idiots that I cut. They were criminals. They robbed McDonald's at night. The people talking about Mulkey are girls she cut, girls that didn't play a lot. The people that come out and going to claim politics, oh, she played politics. Coach played me. He played me. No, I do play politics, and I actually do. I play the people that are there to win me the game. I'm going to play those guys. That's what people don't get. Like, I do play politics. I play winners. I don't understand these kids nowadays. They just can't take it. To your point, I don't believe kids have changed. I believe the coaches, the adults in the room, or lack thereof, have changed. And I think we've allowed it at an all-time high because, interesting story, I've talked to 2 Division I coaches yesterday who told me 30 minutes of practice consists of begging players not to enter the portal. Imagine living in a life like that. I have to waste 30 minutes of my teaching time in an already restrictive NCAA rule of how many minutes a week I have my players. I have to spend these minutes in order for those kids to understand how much I love them, and I got to, kiss babies and tell them how great they are, only to still lose them at the end of the day. So now, guess what it's done to coaching, Jason? And now I've lost my integrity for letting Jason Whitlock miss practice one day and not go to class one day, but yet I still start him on Friday or Saturday because he's a better player. But now my locker room sees, oh, Jason missed practice and class, which is Coach JB's rules, and he still played them. This is happening across college landscape of football, baseball, basketball. And you can't tell me that having no hierarchy where kids think they're equals is a conducive path for success. It's just not.
JB, I do think parents are a big part of the problem. But I just, and this isn't me just picking on the media. It's like they wouldn't do this if they thought they would get criticized in the media. If that girl that was complaining about, Kim Mulkey, she suspended me from the team because she found out I was gay. And look, at the end of the day, Kim Mulkey would have to be blind not to see, oh, this girl's gay. She'd have to be blind. Does she wear she'd have to be, everybody knew you was gay. That's not it. And just like her girlfriend at the time said, that wrote a statement, was like, nah, you got suspended for smoking weed and, your grades wasn't right. And I forget, maybe late to practice. I can't remember what the other stuff is. But nope, it's because I'm gay and she doesn't like me because I'm gay. Look, if Kim Mulkey was that hostile to gay people, she would have left women's college basketball 25 years ago, 30 years ago. She'd have never played.
That's the point I was going to lead to. Like, if we've all had, kids that they did their own thing. We didn't care. Like, we had no issue. And it's always been that way. When you played, I don't think you cared what color the coach was in the locker room. I don't think you cared what your teammate's color was. Either did I, either did Smitty, anyone that we talked to. We never thought about that. Nowadays, the media, to your point, has made that a big-time discussion. Nobody cares in the locker room. To your point, I don't think Kim cares who she coaches if they can put the ball in the hoop. She could care less what your denomination is, what political, where you are, on what side you lean. She could care what your religion is. It doesn't matter. She made a great point on Easter. Yes, we're going to celebrate Easter. I don't care if you're Muslim, if you're a Christian, if you're Catholic, you're going to come up and say a prayer in your dialect or whatever it may be. And that's what you're going to do. She answered that perfectly, I thought. I just don't understand the way we push a narrative on this thing. And I just look back at it and I'm like, my biggest question to you, Jason, is this, because you came from the mud, I came from the mud. And at some point when we hit puberty, you can't sit here and continue to blame others, though. and that's my biggest disagreement with you or fight with Smitty today. When are we going to own it and say, okay, I know the difference between right and wrong? Like, I was raised by one of the biggest, drug dealers in American history. Well, guess what? I didn't do it. I didn't do the drug. I didn't sell it. I didn't do any of it, even though I was being raised by the guy. Like, what point are we going to say, we're men now, we're women now. I'm going to do me. I'm going to make a right at the stop sign. I'm not making a left to follow everybody else. These kids get a pass, Jason, for being allowed to not make their own decisions, and we give them a pass for we say the adult, the coach. I'm a victim. I say it a lot. I've said it 3 times on this show. But at some point, I got to hold the kid accountable too and say, listen, man, you want to be called adults at 18 years old because y'all say it every day. Oh, I'm grown. Don't talk to me that way. I'm grown. Really? Then if you're so grown, then guess what? Make a right at the stop sign and stop following everybody else. Like, it's funny today, Jason. Rashid Rice gets caught racing a car, walks away from the deal. And I got a guy on my show today talking about, well, they're kids. Well, just last week you said that these cats at 18 were adults. How is the 18 adult in college getting an NIL deal, an adult at 18, but Rashid Rice at 23 in the NFL is still a kid? Now, make that make sense. It's an oxymoron. It's a hypocritical statement. We got to start holding these dudes accountable at what age we call them adults. And if they're 18, then that's legally cool. I don't think a kid's an adult until they're paying bills and putting someone through college. That's my definition. These 18-year-olds who they can go to the war, coach. No, they can't. They can go enlist because we have the numbers now. When my dad was in the Korean War, Jason, at 18, they could put him on the front line because we lacked enrollment. We don't lack enrollment no more. We're not putting 18 years old on the stat right on. We
actually do lack enrollment, but
well, we
actually do that.
We might now again.
Yeah,
we haven't
because
for a while.
of DEI and all that. People aren't.
Yeah, we might now.
Enlisting,
you're right, but I don't think we have. Anyway, I got off subject.
JB, I agree with your point of view. Like, hey, at some point, the kids have to know right from wrong. But JB, we've created such a poisonous culture that many things that are wrong have been made right. And so if you're having just fundamental, what's the QB center snap? It's like if you don't get the QB center snap right, all that other stuff you drew up, it don't make a difference. You got to get the snap right. And so that's where we are in society right now with young people. If we're debating who's a man and who's a woman, and if there's 32 other genders, and if boys can go compete against girls, that's the QB center snap. We've jacked that up. And so I can't be shocked that these young people are looking at the adults that are supposed to show them the way and go, man, y'all ain't about nothing. Y'all can't even do a quarterback center exchange. How y'all going to lead a team? How y'all going to run a successful offense if I ain't got no daddy in the home? Or the daddy that I did have in the home, he didn't teach me anything. He didn't tell me any of these values. We've so jacked up the fundamentals that I do look at these kids with sympathy and just say, man, they just wasn't taught what I was taught. They don't know what they don't know. And so Rashid Rice, again, when I see Rashid Rice, I go, when I look at that, I go, man, I think about my father and the arguments that we had from age 19 to about 23 about my friends. And some friends he felt, you got to let them go. Them dudes just headed to jail, Jason. And even when I was an adult, even as an adult, I can remember, I hate to keep it this real, but I got to keep it this real. You know, some of my friends were involved in things that my father, I'm like 32, and he's like, dude, you can't run with them. That what they're doing eventually leads to drugs and to drug sales and all that. I can just remember it stayed on my rear. And luckily, I got smart enough and made a lot of great choices and was very careful. But I look at Rashid Rice and I'm just like, Y'all out racing cars. You with some dudes that looks like they got guns and drugs in their car, and you're an NFL player with that kind of stuff. You playing with Patrick Mahomes? You gonna throw all this away? Oh, but racing a car?
The key you just said was I made this decision. This is the problem I see. These kids, the eyes in the room, the individual, have zero regard for the value of a dollar, the value of life, a little less, their value of their own lives. They care less. There's no respect for elders. The difference between this generation and ours, Jason, you being tutored and told by your father, hey, I'm just letting you know at 32, hey, little Johnny is not the one. That's cool. But you already knew that deep down inside, and you also weren't going to go out and disrespect a grandfather, a grandmother. You probably were still going to open a door for somebody, and you probably still would have helped someone. These cats are the worst I've ever seen, Jason. They have zero regard for anything. And guess what? We've made it worse by giving them the keys to the car before we taught them even how to drive it. And it's figurative and literal now. Because we've seen Jalen Carter, we've seen Henry Ruggs, we've seen these cats over and over and over. And
I'm going to give you a better one, JB. I'm going to give you a better one. Right there, Rashee Rice plays in Kansas City. Andy Reid's son just got out of the joint.
I just brought that up.
Just got out.
Here's my question. Here's my question. What do you do about it? I had this whole same topic on my show today. There has to be something done about it, because if Calvin Ridley's betting suspension is longer than this, there is a fundamental issue, and it's going to be brought up. Rice is not going to do a year. Let's just be honest. They will suspend you for DraftKings that they shove down our throat every day over the loss of a life, possibly this woman and her 4-year-old son who got hit in this whole thing. This is another issue that we have. There needs to be a straight line on what we do. Like when I coached Jason, I had 2 rules. If you're late, you do this. If you miss, you do this. That's it. The entire program ran that way. And I believe the NFL needs to get to that, because there's too many. Oh, you can hit a girl and Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, but you only miss this many games. Ray Rice got a whole basically life. Like when is it going to just be, listen, if you do this dumb stuff, if you don't go to jail, the NFL is going to put you in football jail, meaning I'm going to hit you where it hits the worst. Take your money. You can't buy or drive the Corvette and the Lamborghini no more, because your money's going to be hit. This guy's a rookie, Jason, at 23 years old. He's a rookie. He's only on a rookie salary. So guess what? Hit him where it hurts now, so he doesn't do this in 5 years when he's making $20 million. I just don't get what the NFL does. The NBA is the same way with John Morant and all this other stuff. We give them a pass and hope that they're going to get better. They're not going to get better unless you show them, and showing them is giving them where it hits them where it hurts the most. Pocket.
JB, I got to go. I don't know if I got a solution today. I don't know. But they had that player conduct policy started in 2007. Been a total failure, toothless. It was always a gimmick. But I'm going to get into that with I think with Steve Kim tomorrow. But, JB, I got to go. I got to get to TJ Moe. Great job as always. Thank you. It's Jason Brown.